Hey guys, how's it going?
Don't start, man. Don't start.
I'm sorry. It's just it's a little bit later than I usually do these. So
yeah, I know that's my fault. I ran into a traffic problem on the way here. So.
No, it's fine. It's fine. Midwest Music. We're gonna call this the Outlaw Saint CD release party special.
Yep.
Because technically, I already have episode 5. So this is my buddy Tank.
Hey, how's it going, Saints and Sinners?
And yeah, how's it going with you? Aside from the aforementioned traffic problems.
Well, everything's just been busy, trying to get everything ready for the CD release. Friday. It's just like I'm redoing the website. I'm getting everything all set up. I'm going out. I'm promoting. I'm worrying about us.
Yep.
It's just.
Stability.
So let's just put it this way. This is our second CD release party, our second CD for Outlaw Saint. And this is by far the busiest I've ever been.
Yeah.
I mean, just constantly, and then putting the rest of life, mixed in with it. It's just like...
No, absolutely.
But I'm not complaining. I mean,
No.
To me, promoting is the whole thing, man.
Well, I was going to say, I'm sure if you could just do that as a full-time job, you probably would.
Oh, yeah. You better believe I would, man. Doing websites, if I can make now what I'm making at my full-time job. I would do that in a heartbeat.
Well, there you go.
So, how have things been going with you? You're the only one who's even busier than me.
Surprisingly not, No, it's been good. I mean, I had strike practice today, which is fun. We hopped onto a bill on June 15th, which is a benefit.
Okay.
That's going to be at Midway. Then we have the show on the 21st of June. Because our show's on the 22nd.
Yep, our show's on the 22nd. Yep.
We're playing the night before at the Red Sea with the Monties and Fix the Glitch and the Underlings, something band. I don't know. I'm sorry. But I know Fix the Glitch. They're awesome. I know the Monties. They're really good too. So that's a really fun show.
And then what's interesting is that everyone gives, a lot of people have given the Red Sea, a lot of crap over the years.
It has a reputation,
yeah. But you want to know something? It's got a great stage. I mean, it's just like, it's just a matter of trying to get people in there.
Yeah. It's not the easiest neighborhood to get people to attend shows.
Right, but at least with the Red Sea, you don't have to have already have to have a following in order to get into the Red Sea.
Right, yeah.
Whereas all the ones like the Nomad and all that, they would prefer that you bring in people.
Yeah.
So.
Which, is another annoying thing about the scene, and we could talk about that for 3 hours. But we're not going to.
No, we're not.
It's a whole other rant that I might do at some point. I might get all my favorite opinionated people, and we'll just have a big rant about what's wrong with the scene.
Oh, you'll have me here for about a good 3-4 hours.
Get Greg Chilton, get Tony Lent. He had some good opinions about that stuff. I mean, yeah.
Well, it's just that the thing. I'm just going to say this really quick. I've always been trying to get the scene back, together again, and it requires two things, in my opinion, that I've seen, and that is all bands must learn to support each other. Okay, and I'm not just talking rock and metal bands. I'm also talking about original bands, cover bands, the whole 9 yards, because they all share the same thing.
Yeah.
And number two, there are some places that need to learn that it's not about money. I mean, I understand the whole money concept, but if you do a place that hey, bring in a following, do a night of like of up and coming bands.
Yeah.
Do a night where, hey, let's do one night where we just have like one or two bands on a, on a bill that already has bands that can bring people in. Because that would be a way to be introduced to their fans.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, it's all about cross-pollination. It's all about, Yeah. Need to work on that.
So it's just like.
And the city has to stop fucking with venues and closing them. So.
Yeah.
Please. But again, we won't talk about that. Anyway, So I suppose we should formally start this thing. So first question I always ask is again the one that I can't truly answer, which may seem kind of messed up, but whatever. Which is what was your kind of aha moment? What was the moment you knew music was going to be part of your life forever?
Well, to be honest, I've been performing since the age of 9. Okay, I mean, I've been performing I started in theater, over 35 years ago. So there was no aha moment when it came to switching from theater to music. Okay, it just seemed natural.
Yeah, that was just a
natural.
Yeah.
However, I did have an aha moment as far as deciding what type of musician or what type of frontman that I was, what type of entertainer that I was. I started back in mid-90s, something called Amateur Band Jam Night. It was hosted, and this is the first open jam anywhere. This is the open jam that started all the open jams that you see nowadays. And it was, the house band was UKI. Chainsaw Kane's one of his bands after he left Slave Raider.
Okay, gotcha.
All right. It featured Happy Mike Schneider, but we all call him Happy. Okay, now of Hairball. We called him Danny McBoy, who's us little children. And at the time when it first started, Dan Dryden. Who later went to Stuck Mojo and now is currently in a band with a guy named Wally Nemec called My Famous Friends.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So, and the funny thing was that, when I first started, it was just like, they asked my name and I said, "Oh, I'm Tank." They never knew me. The funny thing was that the band that I was in at the time was actually practicing next door to UKI.
Okay.
That's how I found out about it over at City Sound. And when I first met Happy, and I mean no disrespect, okay, he spoke in monotone. He just wasn't someone that really grabbed my attention on a regular on a human level. But yet when I saw him perform, it was like, holy crap! It was just like this guy's all over the place. It's just, but that wasn't the aha moment. But that was one of those things that got planted in my head. That was one of those seeds that got planted in my head. Then I started seeing. Then band Warrant, came to the Iron Horse, and I saw their first show, and they had just, they were coming back from the other arenas, and something like that.
Yeah, they were on the upswing from the downswing.
No, they were on their way down.
Oh, okay.
Gotcha. They were back down in the actual bars, and the first time I saw them, I was impressed. It was just like they were eye level with the audience. They didn't have any egos going, "Oh, well, I used to be so big, but now I'm above you." No, they didn't have that attitude. It was just like the entire show was there was a smoking in the we could smoke in the bars back then. He was bumming cigarettes off people in the audience. One person hands him a shot. He looks at the shot. He hands it back to the guy. Turns around, comes back, and he says, "Hey, dude, I was going to drink with you." Brings out this bottle of Jack Daniels and said, "I was going to drink you with this. This is a man shot." And then he got two people, complete strangers, out of the audience to get up there and do open jam. One of them did Cat Scratch Fever, and another was rock and roll. They had someone get up there to sing, and it was the coolest thing.
Okay, that would be really,
really cool. Now, once again, this is not an aha moment. We're building up. We're building up. I love to build up my stories here, people. Please forgive me on that. So the aha moment came. So basically, I was performing at Amateur Band Jam Night, but I was still trying to figure out who I was.
Right.
Okay, I realized that I didn't have the best voice in the world, but I didn't quite know where to go. And then one day, a friend of mine says, "Hey, do you want to go? I've got a free ticket. Do you want to go to Chicago to see Poison?" Now, this was 1999. Okay, the first reunion tour with CC.
Yep.
Chicago was the closest they were coming. Free tickets, free room and board, 6 rows back.
You cannot say no to that.
Exactly. All I had to do was drive her car overnight down to Chicago. And unfortunately, our hotel was on the south end of Chicago, and there's a point where there's a road that goes around, the main, sort of like 694 goes around, Minneapolis, and meets on the other side. So it's just like, I missed that. So I ended up going downtown Chicago, morning rush hour.
Yeah.
Oh, and it's just, I listened to Brett Michaels. He was on the local radio station doing an acoustic thing, the whole 9 yards. So anyways, come the show, and it was just like, they hit the stage, and it was just like, these guys completely blew me away. It was just like, all of them were moving, even Ricky Rocket, who was behind the drums. They went into their first song, Look What the Cat Dragged In, and then all these people, and it's an amphitheater. So you have these seats like a theater, coming up or whatnot. And all these people rush the stage, but, all these bouncers were putting them back. No, sorry, blah, blah, blah. And it's just like, right after Look What the Cat Dragged In, CC is just about ready to start into I Want Action. And Brett goes like, whoa, hang on a second, CC, hang on a second, wait a minute, stop the show. He looks at the security guys, he says, I know you guys are trying to do your jobs, and we greatly appreciate that. But these people are not here to harm us, they are here to have fun. Please let them come up to the front row. Right, and the next thing you know, everyone joins in. It's just like, and the bouncers are going back, okay, hey, cool, cool.
Yeah, as long as you don't...
Exactly. And it was then when I'm seeing these guys, and yes, they used pyrotechnics, and all that, but they didn't need to use the pyrotechnics.
It wasn't a crutch.
It wasn't a crutch. They were out there, and at that point, right then and there was my aha moment. I'm going like, okay, I may not be the best singer in the world, but I am going to be the best entertainer that I can. And so what I did was, one of those seeds that was planted, in the back of my mind, came back, and I started studying Happy, at all these shows. And I eventually learned that, I can't copy Happy, or whatnot, but I can take elements from what he's doing and create my own.
Yeah, exactly. Everybody steals from the best.
Yep. So even innovators can be imitators sometimes.
Well, yeah, I mean, and really, and this may sound odd, but I think as far as frontmen go, it all goes back, stage moves and all that, it all goes back to James Brown.
Nope, before James Brown.
And I'm sure James Brown stole it from somebody else.
Chuck Berry. Chuck Berry. And Elvis. Chuck Berry and Elvis. If it wasn't for the pelvis...
Well, I mean, technically, James Brown was around the same time as those guys.
Yeah, but...
His first single was like 1956, so...
Okay, all right.
So technically a little bit before Elvis.
Okay, all right. I'll give you that much.
But, I mean, that being said, I'm sure James Brown stole his stuff from, probably a preacher he saw somewhere. So, it all goes back to something. Goes back to... But, yeah, the combination of James Brown, Elvis, and Chuck Berry is pretty much 90% of where frontmen get all their moves. So...
Yep. So, I get some of my moves from Axl. I got a love-hate relationship with that guy.
Well, yeah. Everybody throws in a little Axl, a little David Lee Roth, a little...
Right, but only few people can do the Axl move like I can.
Right. Well, okay, I'll give you that.
But I know that I can't copy his voice. That's the one thing I stay away. If I do a Guns N' Roses song, it's one of the lower end.
Right.
Yeah.
That's in your range, yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So I don't try to be Axl. I just happen to be able to occasionally move like him.
Yeah. You just temporarily embody his physical body for...
Exactly. So question number 2.
Question number 2.
Okay.
I thought folks. Question number 2. What was the first album you bought with your own money?
Oh, I actually do not remember. I know that, and this is kind of funny, the first rock album that I actually got, was Appetite for Destruction. 1988. I was for my 16th birthday, 15th or 16th birthday, somewhere around those lines. And what was funny was, at the time, I also got... Faith by George Michaels, right? And what I found kind of funny at the time, because at the time I was naive, I didn't realize they were swearing on Appetite or anything, right? And I was actually shocked. My parents actually bought me Faith, right? Because it had big letters, include the song "I Want Your Sex." So the irony is that I got both of them, but I was kind of surprised they got me George Michael because of that sticker.
Yeah.
But no, after that, I do not know. I do not remember. You know, most of the time I did a bad thing. I had friends who had tapes. You know, at the time I lived in a small town where, you know, the nearest place that you could get a rock album was like, you know, 45 minutes away.
Yeah.
All right. So and there was this one guy that we had, he had a reputation in school of having every single rock album ever made. And you know, I would often borrow tapes from him, and I would copy.
Oh yeah. Back in the day, everybody did that.
Yeah,
it was Napster before Napster.
Yeah, yeah. It was basically the way that Metallica became big.
Yeah, that's the way. I mean, that goes back to the punk days. I mean, all the tape trading and stuff, and then the whole. For those of you young enough to remember actual cassette decks on radios, you tape stuff from, and then in my case. My dad had the TV hooked up through the stereo, so I could record stuff off of MTV.
Yep.
Back in the days when MTV still played music.
Yeah. No, I will have to say, and this is just a lucky guess, I am probably going to say maybe Def Leppard Hysteria.
Okay.
But I didn't get it until, I want to say 88, no, probably about 89, 90.
Okay.
You know.
Yeah.
But I'm not quite sure on that. You know, it's just like most when, you know, up until 86, I didn't listen to rock music at all. You know, up until 86, basically I listened to everything that my parents listened to, okay?
Yeah.
And the only rock and roll they got into was everything pre-Beatles. Okay?
Gotcha.
So basically, as soon as the Beatles hit the scene, they switched to country. Right?
Okay.
And so I basically listened to all 60s country up until mid-80s. And then 1986, 6th grade, friend of mine hands me a mixtape, you know, we call them that mixtape now, right? Listen, he says, listen to it, tell me what you think. Because they felt kind of sorry that I was listening to country. Okay, small hick town. And ironically, about 7-8 years later, after I'd already left, country became the big. So I take this album home and I'm listening to it, and there's 4 songs on there, and I've never heard this music before, and it was really cool. It's kind of catchy, you know, really hard edge. And one of the songs I thought was Rolling Stone Satisfaction, meaning I'd heard of the song but never heard the song.
Right.
All right, so I listen to these 4 songs, and the next day I go back to my friend. I'm going like, dude, that one song, is that Rolling Stone Satisfaction? He's going, no, it's Poison's I Want Action. I Want Action, talk dirty to me, play dirty, and look what the cat drag did.
There you go.
And I was hooked ever since. And then 2 years later, that same friend introduced me to Appetite for Destruction, and the rest, they say, history.
Yes. Yes.
So... But, so what's question number 3?
Question number 3, what was the first concert you attended?
First concert or first rock concert?
First concert.
There was 2 of them. I can't remember which one came first because I was very young. It was either Waylon Jennings or Nitty Gritty Dirt Band. I saw them both. My dad took them to both. At the time, I was big into Waylon Jennings. Okay. And so I don't remember which one came first. First rock concert, 1992, 12th grade. I saw Def Leppard and Ugly Kid Joe at the State Fair. Def Leppard was right on the tour of Adrenalize before they picked up Vivian. And let me tell you, it was one of those cases, Ugly Kid Joe blew him out of the water. Because Ugly Kid Joe had done America's Least Wanted, you know, which was their full length, you know, and Def Leppard was just like Def Leppard trying hard to duplicate what they did on the album, and it wasn't working.
No, because by that time,
that album was so overproduced.
So overproduced and so, yeah.
Rumor has it a couple of the songs had 17 guitar tracks just for the main rhythm.
I wouldn't doubt that one bit.
So, and they tried their best, and it could have also been a fact that Clark had just recently died, type thing. But it was just like, Ugly Kid Joe blew them out of the water. The opening slot blew them out of the water.
Yep.
So, and then so. Aside from that, I've been to different concerts and such, and believe it or not, the one concert one of my favorite bands I've never ever seen, and I probably never will now. Guns N' Roses. Mm-hmm. It's just like, I'm sorry, I can't. When they came to the U.S., well, first off, I want to see the Appetite era. Okay,
yeah,
Steven Adler and Izzy.
Yeah.
All right. I would have loved to have been at the Ritz, 1988, during their infamous live show. I would have loved to have been there in person.
That would have been one of those bucket list moments. Absolutely.
But unfortunately, at the time, I was only in 7th grade. So there was no way.
This is true.
There's no way in hell that I'm gonna, go all the way out to New York
fly
City.
to New York to see this dangerous band. So.
Yeah. And the funny thing about it is that when they came around for the Use Illusions tour, all right, I was in 11th grade and I was 3 hours away in a small town, didn't have a ride there, so it's just like, I missed that too. The Metallica.
Well, as someone who was there, you weren't missing much on Guns' set. It was Use Your Illusion, so of course that was the album with all the big ballads.
Yep.
And I almost fell asleep during their set.
Wow.
And the only thing that woke me up was the pyro they had for Live and Let Die. But this was after, I think no, it was during the summer, so I didn't go to school.
Right.
I don't know if I was working that day or not, but this was after an opening set by Faith No More and a full, hour and a half, 2 hour set by Metallica. And about hour and 45-minute set change between the two. Because Axl, had to talk to his astrologer and get everything in line and do whatever he was doing.
Once again, I said love-hate relationship.
Yeah.
Well, apparently, and I don't... So, many, many years back, I was dating this one girl that took me to see a psychic. Mm-hmm. Right. And according to the psychic, the reason why I have such a love-hate relationship with Axl is because apparently in another life we were brothers. He was my older brother. So it does explain how.
That does explain a thing or two. I'll give you that.
All right, last and final question.
Well, let's see. That one is drummer related, so technically I have two more.
Okay. Fire away.
The first band you were in.
The first band I was in was a band called Wreak Havoc.
Okay.
Okay, let me rephrase that. The first officially...
First band that actually played out and did shows.
Played out, yeah.
Okay.
Yep, band called Wreak Havoc.
Yeah, because we all have those bands before that.
Yeah.
The bedroom bands and the garage bands.
Yeah, I believe it or not, I had a big ego back in those days.
No, you don't.
I do say. I even have the video to prove it, right? Because we would have one of those old VHS,
the big
things, and we were recording all of. I bought one used, okay, so we could record our sessions or whatnot. And years later, I'm watching one of our sessions, right? It's just like. My wife at the time, who I was married to, is just like came across it in all these videos, going, "Hey, let's watch it. Let's see what happens." So we're watching it, and here I am refusing to take off dark glasses. No, we got to do this. We got to do that. We got to do. I'm going like, wow. Holy shit! And nowadays, I keep that in my conscience, There will be times I get a little out of control. Don't try to. I'm either excited or it's an important show. I'm trying to make sure everything's all right. I can understand how I get that way sometimes, but I always try to keep myself grounded.
Right.
But yeah, it's just like I saw that. Uh-oh.
I'm sure I'll pick it up.
Okay.
These mics are actually fairly sensitive, so. And your voice carries, so.
Yeah, I'm just a little bit. So it's just like, so it's just, I just couldn't believe that. So.
Well, I was going to say you should take snippets of that and digitize it. And anytime anybody complains, "Oh, this is just a tank show," it's like, no, it's not. This is.
Yeah, I wish I knew where those videotapes were. Huh? I lost them a long time ago.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, we're talking about the last time I saw it was, I want to say, damn near 20 years ago.
Oh, okay.
Yep. Okay. So, but yeah, so the first band was Wreak Havoc. There was a drummer we had this bass player at the time, and it's just like, to me, I knew I wasn't the best singer in the world, and I was having a hard time trying to find bands, Mm-hmm. Oh, you got to sing like this. And the other thing is that I was still in the, hey, we're going to create the next Guns N' Roses. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I had that mindset.
Yeah.
And what was interesting is that I was at that point where all of my friends and everyone younger than me started getting into Nirvana. And to me, it was like 1986, I skipped over half of the 80s. Mm-hmm. I liked what I saw, so I'm going like, especially after the way Guns N' Roses hit it, so I'm going like, all these years, I never strayed away from that, that mindset. It's going to be Guns N' Roses, it's going to be, just like Guns N' Roses, blah, blah, blah. Now, it was brought to my attention by, quite a few people that I know that, that I put down, well, we sound like Guns N' Roses. And I didn't realize at the time that, I knew we didn't sound like Guns N' Roses. We were influenced by Guns N' Roses. Yeah. So, my marketing ploy, over the last few years with Outlaw Saint has been, we have songs that are influenced but do not copy Guns N' Roses and AC/DC. Mm-hmm. Plus, we add whiskey-soaked vocals.
Yes.
See, the only thing you need to be you can be a copycat and still be an innovator. Mm-hmm. Okay? Guns N' Roses was an innovator. But what they did was they took a style that was they took Aerosmith, which was at the time people were, it was Aerosmith and it was Van Halen. All of a sudden, everyone's into Van Halen, blah, blah, blah. And they're going, no, we're going to bring, them back. And they were the updated version of Aerosmith, but with a different voice.
Yeah, they took the core of Aerosmith, that blues-based.
Yep, they updated their sound.
Threw in a little bit of like New York Dolls and much more the punkier glam stuff, and then just.
But the interesting thing is that when Aerosmith did Permanent Vacation later on, after they started becoming big, their music was the same. Mm-hmm. It was Aerosmith, updated their sound, but it's just like, they were an updated version of them. They were basically copycats adding in their own style.
Yes.
That's all an innovator is. At least to me, an innovator is at the time that you're out there, you're doing something that's different than the other people.
Yeah.
And there was a meme that I saw on Facebook just today, and I'm going like, I'll be the first one to admit I would rather be an innovator than an imitator. Mm-hmm. Type thing. Nothing wrong against the people who,
No, of course not.
Want to do that. It's just, to me, it's just let's do something just a little bit different.
Yeah, because that's the thing, especially trends in music. It's like somebody comes along and gets really big, and then you have the 15 copycat acts until something else comes along that gets really big, and then you get the 15 copycat acts. And and depending on which big artist, which area you're looking at, it can get pretty ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
just like I told you about that group that mixes death metal with surfer music.
Yeah.
Loose surfer.
I have not looked them up yet. I still need to do that because that just sounds too interesting.
That is very interesting. We're talking about zombies dressed up like Beach Boys. Imagine if the Beach Boys had died and come back as zombies with the face, and they're doing a blah 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 blah, and then but they're also playing half part surf music. It's
that's. There are good combinations and there are bad combinations, and
that for some reason that worked. Something about it, I don't know what it was. I saw him live at the 331 Club, and I saw that. I'm like, what the? And then all of a sudden, I'm listening. I'm going, I don't know what they're doing, but this works. So, yeah, there's some things that are just way out there.
Yes.
That is probably the most original thing I've seen in the last 10, 15 years.
Yeah.
I mean, well, okay, no. Apparently, there are bands out there that mix folk with metal. I haven't really...
Well, they've been doing... That's been going on for years.
Right, but... Oh, yeah, it's just... No, I will admit that there was one local band. I don't know if they're still together. That was actually... did something completely different. Didn't work, I don't think. But they mixed death metal with Celtic music. It was
Iridius.
Iridius.
They are no longer around, and I disagree because I thought it worked. I thought it worked beautifully. It was odd to watch.
Very odd.
But I thought it worked for what it was. I thought it worked.
Yeah, well, each one's their own, type. It's just, I don't know, the Celtic music just didn't work to me, but I will give them credit, though. It takes a band to fit 10 people on the terminal stage, though.
Yes. Yeah, I was talking to Sean, the drummer for Omega Sequence and Echoes of the Fallen, and we brought up Iridius, and he's like, yeah, that's one of those bands that when the sound guy sees them, they either go, or they go, fuck! Because this was how many people? Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I think there were 8 or 9 piece band. 2 guitars, bass drums, 2 vocalists, a guy playing violin, and then a guy playing bagpipes and
clarinet.
Yeah. So yeah, that's pretty much all the inputs on your board. That's and again, if you know the terminal, you know that stage is tiny, and they managed to get everybody with all their gear on that stage.
Yep, they didn't move. They got
they had absolutely no room to do anything. But I mean, of course, the one time I saw them at the terminal was the worst show they ever played. But
it is what it is. All right, next question.
Last question before we talk about what we're here to talk about. What was your first gig? First gig you ever played?
First gig.
Where was it? And were there any horror stories?
First gig. I'm trying to remember which one was the first gig. I think the very first gig. Well, okay, we did a couple of open jams. Outlaw Saint. Recap.
Yep.
Did a couple of open jams. It was okay. I did some recording. That's where we got our demo. We did once again the big VHS.
Yep.
And we just copied off that. Didn't sound all right. Anyways.
Yeah.
Good question. I'm trying to remember where. I want to say, yes, I remember. Big Ten Tavern.
Okay.
We were actually opening up for a touring rock band. I do not remember their name, but what I do remember, and this sort of ties into what Outlaw Saint is doing right now, okay? They were actually the first time ever that I'd ever heard a rock opera. But they were just a straight up rock party band, blah, blah, blah. But, I mean, this was just before I got introduced to Operation Mindcrime.
Gotcha. Okay.
So, they were doing covers, the whole night, they were mixing the covers. They were doing 2 hours, we were doing 1. And, it was a disaster. Well, it wasn't too much of a disaster, but think before you speak when those situations came in.
Gotcha.
And I don't remember exactly what I said, but it's something about here's another 80s band or something like that. But it was the way I said it that I never intended to.
Right.
But yeah. Good old naive me, yeah. So I wish I could remember their name, but I do know Big Ten Tavern was our first full-length show.
Okay, cool.
So, all right.
So let's talk about the matter at hand. Outlaw Saint has a new album coming out, which I think I've talked about on every single one of these interviews I've done.
Yes, you have.
The CD release is going to be this Friday.
Yep, May 24th.
at Club Underground.
Spring Street Tavern's Club Underground. For those of you that... Because when some people say Club Underground...
Yeah, I need to stop. I need to verify that. Because I told my boss about the change in menu, and he's like, Club Underground was that? And I'm like, Spring Street Tavern. He's like, still doesn't know. He's from like White Bear or something. So he doesn't know. But hopefully he'll find it and they'll be here. They'll be there.
Only a select few people out there, the diehards, the diehard music fans know it by Club Underground.
Right.
Whereas other, people that are just coming to see you would probably know it more as Spring Street Tavern.
Right.
And for everyone who doesn't know, Club Underground's in the basement of Spring Street Tavern.
Yes.
So right off Monroe and Spring Street.
Yep.
Northeast Minneapolis.
Yep. So yeah, and we have special guests.
Yep.
We have our friends the Rebel Queens.
Rebel Queens, yep.
Opening, and they are awesome. If you've never seen them, you need to check them out.
Yes, you do. And they're doing 2 special songs for me. Then I requested 2 songs. One song that they haven't done in almost a year. Yeah, I know. They did it for. What was it? Oh, they were opening up for it was a movie in the park last year. Yeah. They were showing Top Gun, right? So just for that show, they learned Danger Zone, and I happened to be at one of the shows just before, this thing. So they wanted to test it out with the audience. And those are the only 2 times I come to find out. I'm going like, when I invited them on the bill, I'm going like, okay, ladies, I got 2 requests. We already know what one request is. And that's Welcome to the Jungle at the very end. Mm-hmm. Okay. The other request is, I told them, you need to play Danger Zone.
to which they said...
they're going, okay, we'll do it for you. Big smile on their face.
Yay.
So
yeah, those guys are awesome.
Yep.
They're really good people as well.
Oh, yeah.
Nice as you can be. And then the other band I have not seen.
Thick as Thieves. I have not seen them either.
I've seen some of the videos they put out. I know 2 of the members.
I know one.
Because we know Dan. He's our producer.
Yep.
He's also producing some stuff with Strike, which should be exciting. And then their bass player was the bass player in Strike for a few months, Mike Latourneau.
All right, well, for all you people out there, the reason why we picked this lineup, there is actually a very specific reason. We are releasing what we call a raw and raunchy rock opera. Okay. And I'm not trying to pigeonhole us. I'm not trying to say we're as good as the bands I'm about to mention, but to give people an idea about what we mean by raw and raunchy rock opera is try to imagine Rob Zombie singing for the original Guns N' Roses back in the mid to late 80s and releasing their own version of Operation Mindcrime.
I think that is the most apt description of this album we can put out there. Because yeah.
So it's just basically, Rob Zombie, the low gritty.
Rob Zombie voice.
Yep. The music,
the musical kind of
concept of Appetite.
Appetite.
Yep.
And then the
whole story,
structure and story of Operation Mindcrime. Yep.
And there'll be in these little narrations, or as we call them, skits. Where basically, some of the songs, you have to read the lyrics, pay attention to the lyrics when you're listening to it. Mm-hmm. And it tells a story from beginning to end. And there'll be points where there's actually 3 characters. I wrote the story in a way where it only required 3 characters. Mm-hmm. So you have me as the main guy, Quentin King. Mm-hmm. And we have 2 of the Rebel Queens as... we have Katie Weird. Mm-hmm. Nope, I didn't say that. Katie Word. Please censor that part. And Tiffany Beamer, doing the 2 female leads. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so therefore we added them on to, the beginning or whatnot, add them on the bill. Mm-hmm. And then, as you had mentioned, Dan Osberg, who plays guitar in Thick as Thieves, is our record producer.
Our producer.
Yeah,
So,
a recording engineer.
yeah,
So we just figured, figuratively speaking, we keep it in the family.
exactly.
So
Yeah. And then, of course, a sad note is we're originally going to have this at Lee's Liquor Lounge.
yeah,
Which would have been, no offense to Club Underground, but a much better venue.
it would have been a bigger stage.
It would have been a bigger stage. It probably would have been better sound. Again, no offense to Club Underground. A slightly more inviting room.
Yeah, perhaps.
It would have been easier to haul the freaking gear in because you don't go downstairs. Yeah, side note to that. We went to a show, me and Angie went to a show at the terminal. I don't remember who it was. But I ran into Michelle Work.
Okay,
From
right.
Undertow. And I was talking about, because we were still looking for bands for the June and July.
Right.
And they had just got a new guitar player and they're still breaking him in, whatever.
Yeah.
And I told her about, that the one on the 22nd was going to be a Club Underground. She's like, yeah.
24th. 22nd is our one that is our 4th song showcase.
No, June.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, we're talking about two separate things.
Yeah.
Sorry, you didn't say June. You just said the 22nd. I thought we were still okay. Anyways, go ahead.
Well, because the lineup for the...
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Now it makes sense. Sorry. Anyways.
And I told her it was at Club Underground, and she's like, yeah, no. No. I was like... And she's like, no, nothing gets a room, really, but just the fact that their drummer has a big rack and it's
right,
kind of and getting that down the stairs is kind of a pain in the ass. And I was like, okay, I see that.
Yep. The thing I like about Club Underground though is they are big supporters of the local scene.
They are huge supporters. I'll give them that.
I mean, they'll have us. They don't mind us. Coming in like every 3 months. To perform down there or whatnot. So it's just like they always welcome us back, and they were there when we needed a place. Once Lee's closed down, we had to find a place really quick, and boom.
Yeah. And they just so happened to have the exact same date open, so it was literally just moving from one to the other.
Exactly.
Didn't have to reschedule anything. Didn't have to call anyone. Just did. It was that was very cool.
Yeah.
And I don't mean to diss on Club Underground because I really do like that place. And I like playing that place. But again, Lee's is in my opinion for the non-hardcore music fan is a more inviting room.
Okay, I can understand that
because you're not in the basement and they have kind of low ceilings and
Yeah, like I said, the only thing I'm gonna miss is the fact is that it's not going to be as big of a stage. You know me, I love the move.
Ooh, yeah, we do. Yeah, we do. And speaking of moving,
okay, here we go.
This Wednesday, we're playing the four song
showcase
set at the showcase at Route 47.
Route 47,
formerly known as Pickle Park, formerly known as GB Layton's Pickle Park,
formerly known as the park, formerly known as the main event.
Yeah,
Fridley, Minnesota. There we go.
In Fridley. And this is the what's the official name of this?
That TC Hit Squad Jam.
That and they have graciously allowed us to do a 4-song kind of preview of the album.
Yep,
which is very, very cool.
Right, and actually we're going to be doing one cover and
4 songs, 3 of them from the album, and then one cover to kind of warm everybody up. But so if you can make it to that, I don't know when we'll be on stage. Probably be somewhere.
I'm guessing
9:10,
about 9:30. 9:30.
Somewhere in there, we should be on stage. And we've got
show starts at 8. And anyone who's a musician is welcome to come and jam with other musicians.
Yes.
This is an open jam.
It's an open jam.
Totally no cover, and it's hosted by Chris Vox. From Hairball, plus a couple other well-known musicians. So,
so that should be a very good time. And I was talking to someone else about this because we were talking about our new guitar player Zach, who I believe has never been on stage before.
No, he's jammed with other musicians, but he never had a chance to get up on stage. He had some sort of incident that made him swear off music for a long time. So as I jokingly said last practice, we're so his first show with us is going to be on stage at Pickle Park in front of X amount of people. But I was thinking about it, and my first show, the first time I was in Outlaw Saint, was an open jam at Pickle Park. So, but you played out.
Yeah. Well, yeah. But
Yeah,
irony
the
of that,
correlation. Yeah.
was just kind of weird.
Irony at its best, man.
Exactly.
So, yeah, that was kind of interesting how the two guitar players came along.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
So, but that can be for another time.
Yeah. We'll talk about that because I'm sure. Yeah, we'll talk.
Yeah,
We'll talk more. So.
yep. So
Anything else you wanna add?
Hey, if you want to have fun, we're going to be selling the CD for $5 at our show on the 24th. Or if you buy a T-shirt, you get the CD for free.
T-shirts are $15.
$15.
You get a free copy of the CD.
Yep.
And it's well worth it. I listened to it. It sounds freaking incredible. It flows really nicely. It's.
Yeah, and everyone thought I was weird when I first mentioned it. I'm telling you, it's going to work. Plus, trust me, it's going to work.
And I hate to admit, I was kind of one of those people.
Yes, you were.
Until the last couple of practices we've had, we would kind of run the whole album in sequence with the skits, and I'm like, oh, okay, now I get it. Now I see it.
Yep.
So yeah, this will be fun. And,
yep.
And it's an album I'm proud of.
I'm very proud of this album too. So
yeah. And again, I mean, that's not a diss to Max's work on the first album, but
well, let's face it. Half the songs from the first album are re-recorded for this one.
That is true.
So
I wasn't going to mention that, but you brought it up. So
hey, they sound a lot better now than they did before, in my opinion. That's what I'm proud about this album.
Yeah.
As all the songs finally turned out, is pretty much as close as I can envision without going overboard.
And if you're one of the few people that actually own the first Outlaw Saint album, just a reminder that I think I recorded that album within a month, I think, of being in the band.
Yep.
Because I joined there, we had maybe 2 rehearsals before,
two or three.
On stage at Pickle Park, and within probably a week or 2 weeks later, we were down in. So I literally just learned the songs. So yeah.
Yeah, this time around you've had way more practice with those songs.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah,
and the fact that we have other songs that we added on, and now it tells a whole story.
Yeah, and now it's very linear, and it's a good story.
So, based on true events.
Yeah.
The names have been changed. I'm going to get that right one of these times.
You better get it right.
I'm going to get it right, damn it. Based on true events. The names have been changed to protect the guilty. My name is Quentin King, and it's the story of my downfall. Anyway, so.
And that being said,
give you a little taste.
There we go. So yeah, if you can come out on Wednesday, that'd be awesome. If you come out on Friday, that'd be even more awesome. And yeah, that's
sweet.
That's all we got. So until next time, we will see you all later.
See you later.